guys, welcome back. So, God of the Day is going to be a bit unusual, and I was thinking for a while of doing a video for him, and I thought, well, I wasn't sure, and I'm not even sure if I have the right pronunciation because I could not find a pronunciation key online. It's probably out there, I just didn't find it. So, a God of the Day is the Egyptian centipede god Sepa. Please do not run away. He's actually really sweet. He is, and he likes to see people happy. And if he knows that his sacred animal gives you the heebie-jeebies, he will be nice enough to appear in human form. He doesn't seem to speak too much when we interact. In fact, I maybe heard him say a handful of words over the year. I don't know if it's because his sacred animal is silent, or it's just his way, or he just likes talking. It's almost like he talks in energy, if that makes sense. He's usually happy, and when I see him, he looks, like a ancient Egyptian man with a bald head and, the clothing. And he seems to always be wearing a bag. I get this idea of like a bag. It doesn't always look like it's from the right era, but some kind of bag. I think like a medical bag because he cures centipede bite, snake bite, scorpion sting, any kind of venom. So extremely useful now that we have, all these bees and wasps and everything that have, been brought over to the US or everywhere else. Extremely useful. And if you live somewhere with centipedes and scorpions and everything, extremely useful god to work with. He can try to help you get over your fear. Results will vary. It did not work with me, though gods know he has tried, and he's very kind, and he's very sweet, and he's very patient because not too many humans in general, I get the idea, work with him. I kind of get an idea of a temple. He did have a temple, and this is just all my mind's eye, and I think he's trying to speak to me, and my mind's just showing me the best it can. Of having a temple like lit by torches, and there's enough dark spaces, but he kind of likes to be hidden, if that makes sense. Which makes sense having a predatory animal as his totem. So he kind of likes to be hidden, sometimes likes to come out, see what's going on. If he likes you, he will make a beeline for you. And the weirdest thing is his animals have always adored me. If I walk into a pet shop and they are in the pet shop, they will go flying from a napping ball and come over and be on the glass and start doing that dance they do to see what to see and do. I think that dance is like they're trying to sense what it is and get like a 3D map. I think that's why they do that dance. And I'm not impressed. At one hand, it's great they love me so much. At the other hand, I'm internally screaming and want to run away, and he understands this. But if you're one of those people that you can walk in and centipedes or millipedes or scorpions or anything else seems to have an affinity for you, he might be a good match for you. And he's a god that, he's linked to fertility, some say, though some of this is speculation, but he's linked to fertility perhaps because his animals are predators and they chase animals like earthworms and that, and so it ends up fertilizing the fields, kind of, or at least aerating them. And he can also have a donkey head, and donkey manure was used to fertilize fields. So it might be either one. We don't have like the specific book of Sepa. He's been linked with different gods. Some people will link him with Osiris and link him with death. Since he's shown as a mummy with horns, some people will say no, that's just Osiris, and some people will say no, that's Sepa. We really don't know that much about him. We know he was worshipped. We know he had a temple. I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank where the temple was specifically. And we know he must have been a effective god for what he did because the Egyptians were practical. If he hadn't worked within 2 weeks, it would have replaced him with another deity. Other than that, I really can't tell you much. He's a sweetheart. He loves to see people happy, and yes, he does sometimes love to show up in giant centipede form. He loves most of all giving people hugs, and the first couple times he did that, I tried not to scream out loud, and after that, it's in your mind's eye experience. It's not physically appearing in your kitchen or something. And after that, you kind of get used to it. It's like he's such a big version of the real, the real thing, what I mean. He's such a big version, it's almost kind of pet-like. And he's so gentle, he wouldn't hurt you. So after a while, you kind of get used to it. Offerings, he's not fussy on. He seems to like every so often to come hang out as I'm doing VR, and he likes to just kind of see what's on the altar, or sometimes I'll feel him vaguely show up at mealtime, and he is decent enough to appear in human form a lot of times, and he smiles. He knows he has a great sense of humor. He knows he scares people. He knows it. So there's a little bit of devil in him that he likes sometimes scaring people. He knows, especially with girls. If he thinks you're a cute girl, he gonna come over and scare you. Um, I'm getting laughter back here, so I think I'm getting pretty close to the mark. Loki's helping. And overall, he's a great guy. I kind of am getting eggs. I'm getting like this idea of an egg and him like chasing after this hard-boiled egg. And anything you would offer your other gods, he's really not picky. I would say you might want to avoid spicy food unless it's like your all-time favorite food in the world. Um, Remember, they're opportunists, they're hunters, they're, whatever they eat. Um, I obviously would, if you were going to decide to work with him full time, I would see what he wants. But I am going to tell you right now, since I had a tarantula for an animal companion, do not just go out and get one of his sacred animals and think all will go well. Some are very venomous, but they still sell them. And some are not all that friendly towards human beings. They just want to be left the hell alone, and you really don't want them loose and ornery in your house. You please think before you buy one and you have a venomous creature. It may not even be legal. So, please kind of think of that. You don't want a pet that you scream every time you see it. And you don't want an animal companion that you are so terrified of you can't even open the cage to feed them. I actually kind of feel sorry for them because they end up getting kept in margarine tubs and everything else their whole entire life. I feel kind of sorry for them. So, that might not be the way to make him the happiest. If you want to be kind towards his animals, don't use pesticides in your garden. Don't, spray everything to death. Don't use poison on weeds if you can avoid it. Try to keep as an organic a garden as possible, and they will be out there somewhere. I'm sorry, but they will be keeping your garden clean of pests, so they are useful. So, fertility, curing poison. I get an idea of like a doctor. It keeps like giving me this doctor image, so medicine as well, perhaps. Happiness. I keep getting this happiness, this insistence on happiness. Really does want to see people happy. Really does want to see people. Um, this is hard to put into words. It's not a thing connected to wealth, but it's connected to just overall happiness. I'm getting like a mental idea of like the sun and pyramids and happy and desert. And I don't know where he's going with this, but he's usually when he communicates with me, it's in images, and I get the idea of being happy. So maybe like traveling and getting out there and seeing the sun and seeing the sights, not necessarily Egypt, but enjoying life, enjoying the sweet, enjoying the treasure life is. I think that is what he's trying to say. So I figured I would make him a video. I'm sorry it's so super short. You can go out there and look, and you will find almost every article on Sepa repeats what everyone else said and what I said in the video. There's just not that much information. A horned mummified figure, and they will link him to various gods and goddesses. Some people do work with him today, so if you want to find someone that works more often with him, you definitely can. And, overall, he has been a sweetheart. He really doesn't seem to make demands. He doesn't seem like he's, like we have gods like Odin and Loki that are far more into gathering oodles of worshippers. He just seems to want to be helpful, help out, come in and see you, especially if you work with the gods of Egypt. He's coming to see you. Actually, he's a sweetheart, though. You don't have to be afraid. And if you are terrified to death and you can't even hear the word of his sacred animals, he's also associated with donkeys and can appear as a human man. So, just if you're going to contact him, say, Sepa, please, I love and respect you, but I have a phobia. Could you please choose donkeys? Could you please just appear in human form? If you get that kind of communication, you might not. So overall, he's a sweetheart. He really is. He loves his cuddles, and after the first couple cuddles, you're used to it. Usually it's human form. I think once I saw him as a donkey, and that was unusual because they say donkey-headed man. They never say donkey completely, but it was a donkey once. And a couple wiggly hugs, which weren't nearly as bad as you would think they were. It wasn't like those Dungeons and Dragon games or any horror movie ever. It was just kind of like this warm, loving hug of, I love you. You're my favorite human. I love you. So it wasn't that bad, I swear. So if you guys like what you see, like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you later. Bye bye.